Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. Okay, so cybersecurity discourse is increasingly concerned with so-called deep fakes produced by generative models. And my talk is less directly about cybersecurity, but more about the question of how to think about what those generative models do. Over the last decade, new computational models of artificial intelligence and machine learning, particularly generative models, have originated a peculiar kind of audiovisual artifact, popularly known as the deep fake. This term, deep fake, is now ubiquitous in the mainstream press, in military, corporate, and academic research, and even in legislation, such as the US defending each and every person from false appearances by keeping exploitation subject to Accountability Act, or Deepfakes Accountability Act of 2019. Deepfake has become a shorthand for the full range of hyper-realistic digital falsification of images, video, and audio. But this overemphasis on falsification eludes the fact that some of the novel artifacts involve more than mere fakery, deploying a complex interplay of fiction and verisimilitude, fabrication and plausibility. Some audiovisual artifacts produced by generative models are not just fakes in the sense of counterfeited or forged versions of existing entities. Rather, such artifacts can depict imaginary entities that have never existed or been represented before. Consider the images produced by DALL-E, a generative model released by OpenAI researchers in 2021. The model's name alludes simultaneously to Salvador Dalí, the Spanish surrealist artist, and to WALL-E, a robot protagonist of an animated film. DALL-E is trained on a large dataset of text-image pairs. Given an arbitrary text description as input, the model automatically generates images as output. The researchers have demonstrated the model's ability to produce representations of unprecedented entities by combining unrelated concepts. For example, an armchair in the shape of an avocado, or a snail made of ARP, pictured here. Like the more ordinary kinds of deepfakes, these images may be deemed realistic in multiple senses. 1 century earlier, in 1921, Russian-born linguist Roman Jakobson proposed to disambiguate between the muddled meanings of realism in the history of art. Dali's images seem to fit several of those meanings simultaneously, including realism as an aspiration or intent of verisimilitude by the author, meaning A, in this case, the OpenAI researchers, and realism as a perception of verisimilitude by the viewer, meaning B. Realism is also the name of a historical genre of art, and thus comprises what Jakobson called the sum total of the features characterized by one specific artistic current of the 19th century, meaning C. DALL-E reproduces these features because they are present in many of the images in its training dataset. As the researchers suggest through their reference to Salvador Dalí, the images appear not just real, but surreal. The researchers have intentionally produced surrealist imagery through their choice of text inputs. And the connection between surrealism and machine art is long-standing. As early as 1921, Jakobson noted that Dadaists extolled machine art. Surrealist artists soon experimented with automatist techniques of unconscious or mechanical writing, drawing, and painting. The juxtaposition of unrelated concepts has also been a key feature of the surrealist movement from the start. Uruguayan-born poet Comte de Lautréamont's 1869 text, The Songs of Maldoror, which featured such descriptions as the chance encounter of a sewing machine and an umbrella on an operating table, became a touchstone for surrealist artists. André Breton identified it as the very birth of surrealism, and Dalí drew illustrations from its descriptions, pictured here. When Dalí, the model, automatically draws illustrations of avocado-shaped chairs and harp-textured snails. It recombines these perennial surrealist concerns with both automatism and unrelated juxtaposition. Now, how to characterize this process of turning text descriptions into image representations? In his later career, Jakobson became involved with work in cybernetics and information theory at MIT's Research Laboratory of Electronics, which encompassed systems of machine translation. In 1959, he distinguished between three types of translation: intralingual, or rewording, interlingual, or translation proper, and intersemiotic. At first glance, DALL-E's transmutation of text into image may be seen as an instance of this third type, intersemiotic translation, an interpretation of verbal signs by means of signs of non-verbal sign systems. But generative models complicate Jakobson's original definition. To begin, translation tends to suggest a relatively constrained form of interpretation. The term applied more clearly to the electronic systems available to Jakobson at the time, such as the Voder, a Bell Labs device that translated messages typed on a phonetic keyboard into human-like speech on a loudspeaker. The Voder's operation may be seen as a more straightforward intersemiotic translation from text to sound, involving a clear expectation of a correct result. By contrast, there is no expected correct result in DALL-E's case, since the model synthesizes unprecedented representations of imaginary entities. This synthetic process is categorically interpretive in a more flexible sense than the term translation implies. So instead of translation, we might adopt an alternative term that accommodates more flexible modes of interpretation. One option is the term that has recently become widespread in computer science to describe what generative models do: synthesis. Before the 21st century, most probabilistic and statistical models were designed strictly for analysis, whether predictive, descriptive, or prescriptive. Today's machine learning models, particularly generative models, are often designed not for analysis, but for synthesis. But what kind of synthesis do generative models perform? The term intersemiotic is almost right, but not quite. The prefix inter seems to suggest an operation between clearly bounded sign systems, such as text or image or sound. Yet the so-called deep processing layers of generative models consist of transitional representations that are neither strictly textual, nor purely visual, nor exclusively sonic. Recent artworks have explored such transitional representations. For example, Deep Dream, pictured here, and Trevor Poglin's A Study of Invisible Images. Many generative models operate not only between existing sign systems, but also beside and beyond them. In this sense, we may characterize such models more accurately as parasemiotic. Parasemiosis operates simultaneously between, beside, and beyond sign systems. So generative models may be understood as parasemiotic synthesizers. They produce interpretations of possibly unprecedented combinations of signs, whether verbal or nonverbal, not only by means of signs